Good morning. I'm Ellen Sentier from Celtic Noir, and this is a glorious morning here, and it's the eve of sun return, the last day of the standstill, before the sun returns again tomorrow. The sun starts moving northwards. And I did promise you last week that I would read you a story, and so I'm going to. And I've got a special one for you today because today happens to be the 100th anniversary of Winnie the Pooh. 100 years ago, Winnie the Pooh was first published. And so for the past 100 years, it's been delighting children and elderly children like me for all that time. It's very special, quite crazy, and really helps, at least I'm sure it helped me, to become the off-the-wall person who thinks not like everyone else necessarily. But if only everyone else did think like this, as you'll tell from the story. So I'm going to read you from this book. Now, this is the original book that was given to me by my dad when I was a wee baby, probably about 1 or 2. It might even been before because he used to read the stories to me. And so it's damn nearly as old as me, and I love it dearly. And the story I'm going to read to you is one very special, and this is a picture from it, which you may well recognize. It's the Woozle Hunt. So, without further ado, let's see if I can manage to read it for you successfully. Now, remember, I am reading this time, and it's reading from a book, and I may not be quite so good at that. Anyway, I'm going to go for it and see anyway. So, this is a story in which the story in which Pooh and Piglet go hunting and nearly catch a woozle. The piglet lived in a very grand house in the middle of a beech tree, and the beech tree was in the middle of the forest, and the piglet lived in the middle of the house. Next to his house was a piece of broken board which had Trespassers W on it. When Christopher Robin asked the piglet what it meant, he said it was his grandfather's name, and it had been in the family for a long time. Christopher Robin said you couldn't call Trespassers W, and Piglet said yes, you could. His grandfather was. And it was short for Trespassers Will, which was short for Trespassers William, and his grandfather had had 2 names, in case he lost one. Trespassers, after the uncle, and William after Trespassers. I've got 2 names, said Christopher Robin carelessly. Well, there you are. That proves it, said Piglet. One fine winter's day, when Piglet was brushing away the snow from in front of his house, he happened to look up, and there was Winnie the Pooh. Pooh was walking round and round in a circle, thinking of something else. And when Piglet called to him, he just went on walking. Hello, said Piglet. What are you doing? Hunting, said Pooh. Hunting what? Tracking something, said Winnie the Pooh very mysteriously. Tracking what? Said Piglet, coming closer. That's just what I ask myself. I ask myself, what? What do you think you'll answer? I shall have to wait until I catch up with it, said Winnie the Pooh. Now look there. He pointed to the ground in front of him. What do you see? Tracks, said Piglet. Paw marks. He gave a little squeak of excitement. Oh, Pooh, do you think it's a woozle? It might be, said Pooh. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. You can never tell with the paw marks. With these few words he went on tracking, and Piglet, after watching him for a minute or 2, went after him. Winnie the Pooh had come to a sudden stop, and was bending over the tracks in a puzzled sort of way. What's the matter? Asked Piglet. It's a very funny thing, said Bear, but there seem to be 2 animals now. This, whatever it is, has been joined by another whatever it is, and the 2 of them are now proceeding in company. Would you mind coming with me, Piglet, in case they turn out to be hostile animals? Piglet scratched his ear in a nice sort of way and said that he had nothing to do until Friday and would be delighted to come. In any case, it really was a woozle, in case. You mean in case it really is two woozles, said Winnie the Pooh, and Piglet said that anyhow he had nothing to do until Friday, so off they went together. There was a small spinney of larch trees just here, and it seemed as if the two woozles, if that's what they were, had been going round this spinney. So round this spinney went Pooh and Piglet after them. Piglet passing the time by telling Pooh what his grandfather, Trespassers W, had done to remove stiffness after tracking, and how his grandfather, Trespassers W, had suffered in later years from shortness of breath and other matters of interest. And Pooh, wondering what a grandfather was, and if this was perhaps two grandfathers they were after now, and if so, would he be allowed to take one home and keep it, and what Christopher Robin would say. And still the tracks went on in front of them. Suddenly, Winnie the Pooh stopped and pointed excitedly in front of him. Look! What? Said Piglet in a jump. And then, to show he hadn't been frightened, he jumped up and down once or twice more, in an exercising sort of way. The tracks, said Pooh. A third animal has joined the other two. Pooh, cried Piglet, do you think it's another woozle? No, said Pooh, because it makes different marks. It's either two woozles and one, as it might be, whizzle, or two, as it might be, whizzles, and one, so if so it is, woozle. Let us continue to follow them. So they went on, feeling just a little anxious now, in case the three animals in front of them were of hostile intent. And Piglet wished very much that his grandfather, T.W., were there instead of elsewhere, and that Pooh thought how nice it would be if they met Christopher Robin suddenly, but quite accidentally, and only because he liked Christopher Robin so much. And then, all of a sudden, Winnie the Pooh stopped again and licked the tip of his nose in a cooling manner, for he was feeling more hot and anxious than ever in his life before. There were 4 animals in front of them. Do you see, Piglet? Do you see, Piglet? Look at their tracks. 3, as it were, woozles, and 1, as it was, whizzle. Another woozle has joined them. And so it seemed to be. There were the tracks, crossing over each other, getting muddled up with each other here and there, but quite plainly, every now and then, the tracks of 4 sets of paws. I think, said Piglet, when he had licked the tip of his nose too and found it brought very little comfort. I think that I have just remembered something. I have just remembered something that I forgot to do yesterday and shan't be able to do tomorrow, so I suppose I really ought to go back and do it now. We'll do it this afternoon, and I'll come with you, said Pooh. It isn't the sort of thing you can do in the afternoon, said Piglet quickly. It's a very particular morning thing that has to be done in the morning, and if possible between the hours of, what would you say the time was now? About 12, said Winnie the Pooh, looking at the sun. Between, as I was saying, the hours of 12 and 12:05. So really, dear old Pooh, if you'll excuse me, what's that? Pooh looked at the sky, and then, as he heard the whistle again, he looked up into the branches of a big oak tree. And then he saw a friend of his. It's Christopher Robin, he said. Ah, then you'll be all right, said Piglet. You'll be quite safe now. Goodbye. And he trotted off home as quickly as he could, very glad to be out of all danger again. Christopher Robin came slowly down the tree. Silly old bear, he said. What were you doing? First you went round the spinney twice by yourself. Then Piglet ran after you, and you went round again together. And then you were just going to go round a 4th time. Wait a minute, said Pooh, holding up his paw. He sat down and thought in the most thoughtful way he could think. Then he fitted his paw into one of the tracks. Then he scratched his nose twice and stood up. "Yes," said Winnie the Pooh. "I see now," said Winnie the Pooh. "I have been foolish and deluded," said he, "and I am a bear of no brain at all." "You're the best bear in all the world," said Christopher Robin soothingly. "Am I?" said Pooh hopefully, and then he brightened up. "Anyhow," he said, "it's nearly luncheon time." So he went home for it. I do hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed it and enjoyed reading it. I hope I didn't read it too badly for you. I've always loved it. And later, when I first realized there were such things as pine martens, I knew that they were really woozles. And one day, a few years ago, up in Scotland, I saw woozles close up, just the other side of the window glass from us, in a beautiful place on the edge of a loch. And they are gorgeous. You know, if I'd been Winnie the Pooh, I would definitely have gone tracking woozles. And they're not animals of dangerous intent at all. So, have a wonderful sun return eve, and tomorrow have a lovely day celebrating however it is you do. And I will be back again next week. I'm not quite sure what with. It won't be a story. I think it might be something else. Might be some questions and things. Anyway, happy sun return and see you on the other side.